Hi there, welcome to the latest episode of my 10-minute moan. And the topic of this 10-minute moan is just a mad amount of stuff that's went wrong with SNP in the 6 months I've been doing these 10-minute moans, right? Now what happened today, I was sitting looking at some stats and stuff like that. I thought, God, I've been doing this for 6 months now. I wonder how many different stories I've done. Now, I've done about 200 videos or something like that in that time. But some of them, might talk about the one topic more than once. So I sat down there, got a piece of paper out, and I started writing down the different topics that I'd covered. And it is mental. That no, it's mental enough that all this stuff, right, I've had to do moans about. But when you consider these people have been in power for 17 years, and this is only 6 months yet, it just blew my mind, right? And I thought, can he be right? So, I'm just going to run through it and just basically give you an idea of the utter nonsense we have to deal with by the SNP in such a reality, just a real short space of time. So, the first thing, and this was the main reason, this was the reason that I picked up at that point my phone and made a video to put on the internet about my disgust about the SNP, and that was Matheson's phone bill. Then my second video was the £270,000 we gave to UNRW when I smelt at that and thought this isn't right, and it led me to do FOIs and things. That video has been seen by 100,000 people. That was the second video I ever done. SNP moaning about British Airways in Westminster when Hums's parents get released. That's right. Somebody was down at Westminster saying it was terrible. They had to buy their own tickets and never really get that much help for the British government. Well, how did they get home then? Right? Because later on they were saying, no, they get no internal help. They were claiming they never get any internal help. It was a Home Office, Foreign Office, sorry, they got them home. But this crackpot was at Westminster saying he didn't look after his in-laws. We've seen lies about India and the EU. We've seen a love-in with the Sinn Féin. We had a story where up in Perth, the council didn't close the floodgates. Remember when Perth was like underwater, get Perth and Kinross. Alex Salmon soon high agents in the SNP for £3 million. There was a story about did the police give the SNP heads up on the arrests of Nicola Sturgeon, her husband, and Colin Beattie. There was a COVID affair with a married couple where they had apparently had sex outside their bubble when we were all no seeing our loved ones for months. The police were called to a home. There was a dispute in a driveway, which apparently was attached to the above affair as well. They lost the court of sessions where somebody was looking for an FOI into Salmon information when they had their investigation about his alleged sexual advances and things like that. That went all the way to the court of session, and I still don't think they've got the information out. There was talks with Turkey. Remember Hamza? Quite weird timing when he was no wanting anybody else there. There was a story, did they protect the top cop when a story came out about her getting the only cop car on the east coast of Scotland to drive her home to Durham. The SNP knew about that for 3 weeks and covered it up. There was rejected FOI requests about Matheson when people were asking questions, members of the public asking for freedom of information requests, so just stopped getting them out. There was drug deaths on the rise and education gap. That got bigger. There was £372,000 to a mosque in Glasgow with some serious connections to Iran. There was a £20 billion deficit in the books between Nicola Sturgeon and Humza Yousaf's times as First Minister. There was manifesto lies from the 2021. What were they again? I'm trying to remember what they were. It would probably been hundreds of them. There was a wind farm swindle where we pawned 80% of our offshore wind turbines to foreign companies, none of them Scottish owned, for 750 million. That's right, 750 million for 90% of our offshore wind leases when you lease a bit of the seabed. there was a gender recognition bill, which they wasted millions on, knowing fine well that it was never going to get past Westminster, and some people now think that was the only reason it was done, was so Westminster would rebuke it. There's A9, dualisation of that, story came out of that, where it's late and over budget. The FOI Commissioner, I remember when he left, he said that the SNP's Freedom of Information arm wasn't fit for purpose, which was quite scathing. There was the brainwashing website where they started putting stuff, infograms and all that together, so you could go online and tell folk absolute nonsense about independence when majority of it was just lies and crap. There was a massive file destruction, which happened 24 hours after Salmon's court victory. Remember that one? That was a belter. There was an A&E waiting time scandal. There was £405,000 in grants to the Scottish Islamic Foundation for an Islamafest in Glasgow that never happened, and this was when Humza was a junior spad, and the directors of Scottish Islamic Foundation, I think 3 of them were his relatives, him and relatives were 3. Another one was who is now his ex-wife, but it was his girlfriend at the time before they get married, and they're £405,000. But it was all right, because they gave half of it back. There was accusations of more stealth taxes coming. There was civil war when Joanna Cherry demanded Mary Black to apologise to her. We had Humza telling lies about the Horizon Post Office scandal. That's where he tried to say they didn't know anything about it, and they were still convicting. I think there was 4 guilty convictions done by the Scottish Government after they were aware that the Horizon system was unsafe. There was his wife's brother. He got arrested for drugs. Then there was a story about his brother-in-law who was stuck in Gaza that turns out isn't his brother-in-law. It was his wife's half-brother. With the uni numbers getting slashed in secret because we can't keep them all free places, so we'll just cut the numbers to Scottish kids. You know, that was quite clever. That was right up there. There was a COVID WhatsApp deletions. Who can forget that? There was a Gold Command revelations that came out in the COVID inquiry where we had a cabinet within a cabinet that didn't bother taking minutes. Why would you? There was the £4 for every teacher that they spent when they tried to help with the 1 million days lost by teachers due to stress. So they, really invest in that, and it was worked out at £4 per teacher. There was a story about Blackford wanting to stay in the gravy train and get himself into the Lords. There was John Mason and a list of people that he said he hated, which include probably a good 30 to 40% of his constituents, which is quite clever. And that was a guy that previously had refused to work on behalf of some of his constituents, depending on their religious beliefs and their beliefs on independence. It was quite nice. There was plenty of myths came out about free prescriptions and how they're not actually free. COVID lies outed before. She was cracking when she done her COVID inquiry. She was just like, he's told lies, right? It was cracking. Humza's meetings with Humza Zomlot, who had crazy ties with terrorists. So Eurovision places for independence. That was one of the 10 white papers that the government spent taxpayers' money on to explain to us why independence would be great. And one of them was, we'll have our own entrance in Eurovision, which was amazing. I'm nearly at 10 minutes and I'm not halfway through, so I do beg your pardon. We get lies about the Scotland games on TV where they were standing up Westminster and going off their nut that it was terrible that the England games are, and what are you doing about it? Completely oblivious to the fact that it's a free market economy and nobody free-to-air TV companies bid for them. So that's why we didn't see Scotland games. The Institute of Fiscal Studies, they claimed that there was tax lies in the budget. The endless stories about the SNP losing members and telling lies about that as well. There's Humza's visit to Qatar, which the timing of it when there was half the Hamas leadership there was a bit strange, to tell you the truth. And he obviously went without his kids because it was during the school holidays. Why would you take your kids with you? Humza came to light that he'd met in 5 months 20 foreign dignitaries where he's got no foreign policy devolved powers at all. There was the SNP funded kids clubs with radical left leanings, and that was all funded, and what's it called, Red Kids Clubs or something. Bonkers, we fund that. There was the Gaza ceasefire motion put through Westminster, where Stephen Flynn get more upset that Labour's motion get put in front of his than it was downright. I think they wasted about a day and a half at Westminster, where his true colours came out, because he was more worried and more disappointed that Labour was getting to table their ceasefire motion before him than he was about the actual ceasefire, or he could just have voted yes to the Labour one, that carry on. Where they get to, it was £112 million to put Gaelic road signs in Scotland. There was with the band Fergus Ewan, because he wouldn't support the Green Party, and then back to the Green Party a month or two later. There was a ban on multi-buy foods, to make our shopping bills go up. They keep telling us there's a cost of living crisis, which is obviously everybody else's fault. So we'll ban multi-buys on stuff that we decide you shouldn't be eating. There's charges coming in for healthcare. There was a Jordan Linden sex allegations. There was EU lies about the bridge funding. That's right, that was the bridge up near Inverness. And one of them was telling how it was wonderful in her youth, and she remembers it getting built and how it was funded by the EU, and it turns out the EU wasn't even a thing when the bridge was built. It was funded by the UK government. We investigate less. I don't even know what that says. But below Humza done 10 in a row. Humza managed to lose 10 by-elections in a row, which was fantastic. I'm trying to investigate less crimes. We decided that stuff where somebody reports it and they can't give us any evidence, we just wouldn't bother investigating those crimes, like low-level burglary and stuff like that. There was my FOI into the Humza, £250,000 donation to UNRWA, and that ended up in the Telegraph and caused a bit of a stushy. That was quite a good one. There was £110,000 to make a porn movie. Remember that? Humza Does Dallas, that one. There was lies at the campaign conference. I can't remember exactly what they are, but the video's there if you really want to see it. Oh, and one of the biggies, they brought out a hate crime. That caused a bit of a stushy. There was Sturgeon. They were claiming they were going to bring Sturgeon in to help with the GA general election campaign because Humza was rotten. They've probably changed their mind on that since then. That's probably been revoked. There was £5 million that's been spent, and Sturgeon had spent on spin doctors in their tenure as First Minister. There was lies about the Spanish COVID status that came out where we downgraded Spain just to keep them happy, right? But it was not really the thing to do. There was disasters in the polls all through the 6 months that I've been reporting on the SNP. There was the disclosure that Ipsos, the polling company, who are the only polling company that are kind of favourable to the SNP, actually get £5 million off the Scottish Government per year to run market research. We downgraded fraud to a police recorded warning, which I wonder if anybody's getting investigated for fraud that we know just now. There was, when I written to the, Ethics and Standards Commissioner, actually ended up a lovely phone call with the Commissioner of the Ethics Standards Commission, and he was telling me that he couldn't deal with my complaint about the First Minister. I had to write to the Office of the First Minister with my complaint. I thought that was pretty mental. There was £400,000 spent in hate crime ads. They removed the question about do you trust us off the Scottish Home Survey. Morell was charged. I can't forget that. There was a story about the 95 grand Jaguar that the Morell stroke Sturgeons had for a short time, and then tried to pawn it at WeBuyAnyCar.com. The SNP. Remember there was a car at an Indy March, and the car was coming up the top of one of the hills near Blythewood Square area in Glasgow, and the guy was lost, and it turned out it looked as if it was out his nut, and of Middle East consideration. The SNP councillors claiming that was a far-right attack at an independence march. We couldn't commit whether we believed in the Cass report or not. That was quite good. The SNP government were like, not sure if we can take all that, specialist advice on how to look after kids. with the LGBT Youth Scotland, which is funded by the SNP government, they came out and told us that puberty blockers were wonderful. There was a no confidence vote. There was two of them actually. One got pulled because Hamza had left, and then the other one on the government got lost because the Greens abstained. If they'd have voted in favour of the vote of no confidence, the government would get papped out. And then obviously we've seen Hamza binned. They were up in arms about a cartoon. Remember, some cartoonist done a thing about the past SNP leaders and suggesting they were all shite, and that caused a bit of stooshy. Branch form was extended to cover stolen goods and reset. That was pretty damning. They came out that we've spent £3.5 million on crew wages for 2 years for the ferries that haven't got in the water yet. You know, those ones, that's a belter. There we have called a national housing emergency because we've not got enough houses. We found out that nurseries in Glasgow are teaching the nursery teachers that 2-year-olds can be trans and how to deal with that. There was the claim that we had 25% of the wind power in the EU, and when we found out that was wrong, we kept telling people it was 25%, when in fact it was 9%. And one of the most recent ones that we found out, SPADs, special advisors, have been forcing civil servants to tell lies about funding and claim that when the Clyde Gateway originally thought they were getting £5 million in funding because that's what the report said, but it was a misprint. It was 500 million. Then it went to zero, and the SPADs told the civil service when they were writing press releases about it to blame Westminster. So that's it, right? That's my career as an SNP analyst, let's call it, in 6 months. Now that's frightening because I've no stopped speaking for about a quarter of an hour there. Just boom, 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 boom. And these people have been in power for 17 years. What a list it would have been if I'd started doing this 17 years ago, eh? Frightening. And this all started with Matheson and his phone bill, which was my driver to start doing these videos. And it's just... I mean, the level of stuff there's some stuff that's just daft, right? Like Eurovision being a great thing. If we become independents, that would be a great benefit, becoming independents, to things like hundreds of thousands of pounds given to like weird things like mosques with Iranian connections, like Islamic Foundation, which was Hamza and his family, like 110,000 for a porn movie. That get through to lots of checks, by the way, before they got the money, but they got the money. Incredible, isn't it? These people run our country and have done for 17 years. Now, what I suggest you do with this video is, we all know that nutter, you know, that proper cult member. Send them a video. Just say, aye, is that right? Aye. Yeah, catch. And that's not all, by the way. There's some stuff that I never even listed because I was getting writer's cramp writing the list. Right, I pulled the pen out and thought it would take me about 2 minutes to flick through my videos. These people are disgusting. These people are hopeless. These people are incompetent. These people have ruined Scotland. And as I keep saying, they've not only ruined Scotland for people like myself who are unionists, they've ruined the independence dreams for nationalists. And I'm not comfortable with that either. I don't want independence, but I tell you what, see if you just fancy it and you're not a crackpot, I don't mind that, right? But so see these people who are just like normal middle of the road people going about their businesses, just like, I wouldn't mind us being independent, you know, I think we'd be better. Fine, right? They're buggered up their dreams as well, because they're going to fail at Westminster election and the next Scottish election. And these people's dreams of independence will be gone, because half of these people are normal, sensible people that just fancy independence. They will not vote for this mob. They are dead in the water. Anyway, if you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. If you've not already done so, please subscribe. But most importantly of all, unless you're involved in any of this nonsense, and any of that's down to you, see everybody else in the world, have a great day. Cheery bye now.